All right, so let's talk about this experiment that I'm doing right now. I am experimenting with essentially how low quality I can make my presentation, but still make it good enough that people will watch and listen. Why would I spend time, spend effort to try to make my videos as bad as possible, essentially? It seems kind of weird on the face of it. However, here's the kind of the background, the strategic background to what I'm doing. So first of all, I have lots of ideas, lots of topics that those philosophies and guidelines, I have tons of those that I want to cover. And as a result, I am not worried about running out of content ideas, not one bit. In fact, my main concern is that I'll get bogged down, I'll get stuck. Instead of churning out consistent videos and content over time, I will actually just get stuck on perfection, get stuck on the production process. It's not good enough, I need to make it better. Wasting time trying to innovate different ways to make things look better, sound better, and all these things. When really what I want is, at least when it comes to just talking about ideas, I want the content to flow naturally. I want to minimize how much time and effort I'm putting into these things. And actually, if anything, it would be great if this becomes just kind of a regular part of my day. I go on a walk, I talk about some things, and it actually, instead of sapping my energy and distracting me, it gives me energy and it provides focus for the other parts of my day. That's what I'm aiming for. So when it comes to these types of videos where I'm explaining things, I'm talking about things, I have two big questions that I am trying to get an answer of yes. The first question is, can you hear me? That's a pretty low bar to get over, hypothetically. But I just want to make sure that I cross that bar. I'm not worried about anything beyond that, really. The second question is, do you understand what I'm talking about? Is it good enough that I'm just talking about things, or do I need to draw a picture? Do I need to have a chart? Do I need to have some sort of visuals to go along with these words that I'm using? In which case, doing these talks on a long walk isn't going to be good enough. It's not going to cut it. And I know that there are some things where I'm going to need to sit down, have a presentation prepared, draw things out on a chalkboard, whatever. But if I don't need to, if there's anything that I don't need to do that, it's better that I don't. So those are the two big questions. And I have 5 goals in the end with this type of content that I'm experimenting right now. I want to have a reliable process and an efficient process. Reliable and efficient, that's the first 2 parts. Then I want to be able to clearly communicate my most important ideas, okay? And then the 5th thing, the thumb here, that is, I want something that can be consistent in the process, in the output, everything in the long term. Because I don't want to have to fiddle with things every week, every month. I want something that I feel confident doing this for a quarter, half a year, maybe a full year, without having to really question any of the decisions that I made. So I think I'll wrap up with a couple things that this topic touches on. One is maximizing versus thresholding. And I think one of the things that people will tend to get wrong when they are working on a project, on a business, on anything, is they're trying to maximize everything. Unfortunately, life is all about trade-offs, because you can't literally do everything. You can't maximize everything. And even if hypothetically you could, you can't focus on everything all at one time. So even if you could maximize everything, you lose, your focus dissipates. There are some things that you're always going to want to maximize as much as possible. There are, like, my ideas, the philosophies and guidelines, I want those to be as good as possible. So I'm always going to be maximizing that, the value in that respect. However, the presentation, that's more of a thresholding thing for me and my business model, my strategy. So what I want to do is consistently perform above a certain level. There's a minimum threshold. And then above that, quickly you get into diminishing returns very quickly. So I just want to clear that bar, but not too far above that bar, because that means I'm wasting time, I'm wasting energy, I'm losing focus. So I want to just consistently get above the bar, but not too far, actually. I don't want to get too far above that bar. That's a signal to me that I could be doing less and getting essentially the same benefit out of it. Because why am I so concerned about actually minimizing that energy? Because that energy would be better spent elsewhere. That energy would be better spent on the things that align with my business strategy more closely. Those other things that I should be maximizing. Which leads to the other topic that I want to end on, and that's called decision front loading. This experimentation phase of how I'm creating this content, that is front loading a whole bunch of decisions so that later on I don't have to think about them. Otherwise there would be a persistent cognitive load that I will be carrying with me every time I do a video, every time I think about content, every time I'm editing and publishing something. There's a whole bunch of decisions that I'm gonna have to make for the first time all over again. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be thinking about that. What I need to be thinking about in the future is, so here's this tool that I want to build and share with people. I need to make that tool as good as possible. Things like that. Or, how do I want to distribute things? How do I want to get the word out about my channel and everything? All of those things are things that I am going to need to dedicate my creative energies to addressing those questions later. So right now, I am making a whole bunch of decisions that I am not going to revisit for a long time. So let's bring it to you now. Whatever you're doing, what are the several things that are essential and core to your business strategy? Which means they're probably things that you should be maximizing. And then almost everything else is going to be something that you should be thresholding. What are some of those things that you can work on now? Come up with a bunch of decisions that consistently get you above that minimum bar, and then you don't have to think about them. Think about what those are for your business.